Dave Middle, Bucknuts. Urban, I know the move of Zach Warren to linebacker was your idea. I'm sure you expected him to play well on some level. How well he's playing, does that surprise you at all?
Well, I'd wish you great a champion because I think he's a champion-type player. You know, I hate to be the half-empty guy, but I thought he'd even play better. That's how much respect I got for him as a football guy. I know it's new. I know probably unheard of in the history of major college football on a Tuesday to go over and you start. But I guess that's how much respect I have for him as a player. You know, I'm certainly not patting him on the back. You need to grade a champion, pal, and he wants to grade a champion as well. But I'm not surprised, no.
You mentioned the more aggressive defense. Was that an edict from you that, hey, we got to bring more pressure?
I wouldn't say an edict. It's just something that we've been pushing. I've been pushing a little bit, and we'll continue to push. I think it's having confidence. C.J. Barnett coming back at full speed, and I understand the injury issues because you say, okay, let's play man coverage. Once again, our two corners we think can play man. There's three other eligible players that have to be manned up as well, and that's where the issue comes. Not with confidence in our corners. First thing everybody thinks, let's go play man. We got good corners, great. There's three other guys somewhere that you gotta get. You can't just hope it works out.
Far right, Austin.
Austin Ward, ESPN.com. Urban, I think you referenced a heart-to-heart conversation with Stoneburner a few weeks ago. And clear the air, maybe. I know that some of that's private, but what was really your message to him? It seems to have sparked.
I don't mind telling you that. Here's what I think: perception and there's nothing worse than false confidence. Maybe people telling you you're better than you are. And deep down, Jake Stoneburner is a very, very smart guy. He watches a lot of film. He sees himself. However, there's sometimes, when I first got here, Jake Stoneburner is the greatest thing in the world, and he wasn't. Great kid, but he's playing very well right now. For some reason, he hadn't been. And so you can blame, it's all the coach's fault, or it's the Coach Dressel, Coach Bowman, Coach Meyer. It's everybody's fault. At some point, you got to play better. And that was exactly what was said. And the cool thing is, he said, you know what, I agree 100%, Coach, and you got it. And he's been great.
Was he uncomfortable at all in that role, or was there a transition period to the responsibilities he had? Or was that a factor at all?
I don't know. I think, why don't you make is Jake available? I think Jake's a great one to talk to because he is playing well. I mean, you can watch the video, and he's going after people, and he's much more physical. Our goal is also to, if he's blessed enough, and help him and maybe have a career playing football. And I would say there's a potential now that might happen.
All right, David.
Coach David Wilkes, 10 TV. Back in, I think it was about May, he said, talent will get you 7, 8 wins, 9, discipline, leadership, make something special. 3 games ago, you're 9-0. Is this team falling in that category of special, even beyond record?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I'm glad you. Very good. You remembered that. Didn't think you guys paid attention. That's good. Make sure to give him an extra cookie in his lunch, okay?
I had to look it up for the record.
Take that cookie back. I do, to go on the road, to face adversity, to face injuries, to face an offense, have an offense on your team that's not doing very well, and your defense just scores, hangs in there. You deal with some special team woes because of new guys playing new positions every darn week on that team. And then I see some of the intangible locker room conversations and see a team that this is a special team. This is a special team. They're fighting for each other. It's a refuse to lose type atmosphere, which, some of us have seen these just teams that play really well and they're blowing teams out all the time. We're not that type of team. I can give you 150 reasons why. However, we're a bunch of good guys that work real hard, blue-collar approach that show up every Tuesday and want to get better. And you won't want anything else as a coach. So there is some discipline and some leadership taking place. That's why it's pushing up above the 7, 8 wins.
Front row, Rusty.
Rusty Miller, AP. How difficult is it when you go up against a friend, a guy that you've worked with, like Illinois this week?
Not difficult at all. I mean, I love Tim. Tim was on our staff. He's a great coach, great person. I like his dad even more than I like him. I call him the real Coach Beckman, but no, it's good to go.
Do you talk to him at all, or?
No.
Back left, Matt.
In the off season, we do. I mean, yeah.
Matt McCoy, WTVN. You have referenced Braxton's competitiveness many times this year. Wondering when things aren't always going perfectly and he makes a bad read, an interception, does competitiveness get in his way sometimes where he's trying to make a big play all the time? And how do you harness that, because you love the competitiveness?
Well, there's another type of player, the one that doesn't have that competitive spirit, and I would much rather correct, teaching that tiger to bite. That's hard to teach a tiger to bite. It's a little easier to teach it when to bite, and I'd much rather. Braxton is, if you had to probably really evaluate his progress, I'd say it's probably on schedule, which some people would say, well, he should be a better thrower by now, and he should be. But there's other areas of his game that have really improved. And so fundamentally, we readdressed. I don't think fundamentally he played a very good game Saturday. He missed a practice. Braxton can't miss a practice because the last Sunday he didn't go out there. This Sunday we had a lot of fundamental work. As you progress during the season, I try to cut our practices back. We're the only school, I think, not only, but one of the few that haven't had a bye week. And usually a bye week, you go out there and reorganize your fundamentals. And I took him yesterday, and we're going to have to find time for him. And that's hard to do when you want to get them off their feet, because they've been, they're getting worn down a little bit. So our team fundamentally is not where we need to be. We need to keep pushing that envelope, and a lot of young players playing, and a lot of players maybe that just aren't ready. We just need to keep pushing. Braxton's one of those guys. Fundamentally, he has to be on his game, and he wasn't very good Saturday. But to answer your question about the competitive spirit, there's nothing else a coach would rather coach than a competitor that you have to cool him out a little bit and say, don't force things and don't try to win the game every play. I've coached the guys where you say, hey, try to win the game once in a while. And those guys aren't really the kind of guys you want leading your team.
Front row.
Cleveland playing dealer. Urban, obviously we know your plan to win starts with playing great defense. And with what you've seen, the last 2 weeks from your defense, where are you on that path as a defensive team?
I'd be careful saying the word great. It was the first time really second time, obviously Michigan State, I felt like silver bullet. I had great respect for silver bullet defense even when I was far away, because I just have always watched Ohio State. And I really feel like we're fundamentally, I feel much better about where we're at defensively. And I think our coaches have done a really, really good job taking 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes a day, just working on fundamentals. This time of year, that's almost unheard of. But you can see the improvements on the field.
You guys, we know you can't go to a bowl that's out of your control. We talked about that already. And we know you want to go out and win every Saturday, like every team does. But in the bigger picture, how important is a good season in the first year of a coach as you are establishing yourself at a school, as you're establishing your program here at Ohio State?
Great question. Momentum is in recruiting, momentum in development of your players. You're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds, so momentum is everything. And, you don't look past this week. You never look beyond, like, into next. Well, let's play for next year. We're not playing for next year. We're trying to get as many wins as we can. This whole thing's about getting win number 10. And but to making that phone call, we make a lot of our phone calls tonight to recruits. It's much the coach's tone, the energy in the phone call. When you're calling it, you have to make those calls when something bad happens as well. It's just not. I'm not really into it. I can't wait to make those phone calls tonight. I'm really anxious to make those calls tonight and say, hey, this is Urban Meyer from Ohio State, and we're 9-0, and the best thing about 9-0 is a chance to go try and get 10. And that conversation usually picks up from there.
Front row, right, Tim?
Tim May, Columbus Dispatch. A couple real quick. Urban, playing off Austin, what he asked a while ago, talking to Jake the other night, he said in that conversation, he was talking about his development. He had a little bit of time coming to grips with what y'all kind of wanted from him in that new spot. Could you tell that? I mean, was a guy that was sort of seeking what it really was y'all wanted?
See, to me, that's the issue.
Yeah.
You don't have to come to grips with anything. There's cleats on the bottom of your shoe. You put them in the ground and you go as hard as you can and say, yes, coach. And you're right. That's probably a big part of it. And that was part of our conversation as well. You don't, someday the Chicago Bears might want you to run down on kickoff. You don't evaluate that and say, no, let's think now. No, you just go, or you're going to be out of work. So you're right. I see Jake's an intellect. Jake's a very smart guy. And I agree. That's probably what was holding him back. And it shouldn't hold him back.
One other thing, number two, Braxton's slow start throwing the other night. I mean, he looked almost frantic. Was it just a footwork thing? Is that what he got figured out in the second half? Is that what you're talking about, a little bit about the fundamentals? And just talk about what you saw, what you saw different in the second half.
I saw a much more confident player, a guy that, that atmosphere it's hard to stay settled down. I mean, that was a heck of a deal. And, I think his whole, it was a rather traumatic experience he went through to be back out there. And, and his whole week went from here. He just progressed the whole week. So, yeah, I don't think a lot of it was his footwork. His pulling away from center was very sloppy. And then he panicked at times. The one to my right, or to his right, I mean, just flat panicked. It was like he's throwing a baseball. So, but he settled down.
Well, listen, Illinois obviously is struggling. I mean, at least win-loss wise. What do you sell your team on this week? What's the pitch?
Well, Illinois, as these players know Illinois. Illinois, I think, had more draft picks than Ohio State the last few years. Certainly more first-rounders. They've won 7 of 11 or 7 of 10, 7 or 10 or 7 of 11, 7 of 11 in Ohio Stadium. So I'll bring that up. At the end of the day, they'll look at me at like, okay, go move on, coach. Let's go. The thing is us getting better. There's a lot of film to watch on us getting better, and there's a lot of film on a team that at times looks very good. So there will be no issue getting these guys ready. A lot of respect for Illinois.
Middle, Bill.
You've had teams like second Florida team that you knew was a powerhouse. How is this more rewarding to coach a team that you know has some flaws, has some issues, and to get them to this point? Is that more rewarding to you?
I try to live in the moment, and the moment is that I love coming to work. I love walking in this team meeting room. That is, I guess, if that's rewarding, you really enjoy what you're doing because I see development. Chase Ferris right now is on fire. You don't know Chase Ferris. Chase Ferris, someday we're going to talk about him because his development has been great. And so if you ask me a question to watch young people develop, there's nothing better. I mean, other than winning a game, I'm putting that right there. And I'm seeing it happen every day here, which is what we all love to do.
And one thing about special teams, I know it's been up and down. How much of it is just the injuries and you run out of bodies, and how much of it is just guys making mistakes?
It's all the above. We've had our seven different lineup on punt right now. Every week, Zach Damacone couldn't go this week, so-and-so couldn't go, and Sabino went down. You need to have some awareness, and right now we're having guys that I wish I could be less blunt, but just are unaware of because they're first-timers. So we just got to do a better job coaching it. That comes on coaching.
Middle, David.
Dave Briggs, Toledo Blade. Urban, to follow up on Tim Beckman, he's kind of had a tough go, but obviously he said after the Indiana loss, he's lost 22 pounds this season. What's your impression of the rebuilding process he's going through and maybe just the job he's doing?
Oh, I don't know that much about him other than I watched 2 games on video. I didn't even watch her offense yet. Watch her special. I come in, I watch special teams, and I start going through. That's what we do all day and tomorrow. So I haven't really followed him at all. I have great respect for Tim, and there's no doubt he'll get that thing turned.
Far right, Clay.
Coach, we talked about Braxton, the Heisman. Maybe it's not a topic you'd like to talk about, but we're 3/4 of the way in now. Does he need your blessing or endorsement, or do you say, no, next year is his year? And maybe promoting players generally for a whole.
I've always tried to not to, when I get asked a question like you're asking, I'll give my honest answer. And do I believe he's a Heisman candidate? I do. I didn't say that before. I do believe Braxton's a Heisman candidate. He has to play much better. However, from just sheer production of a team that's 9-0, puts him in that category. And that's without knowing all the other candidates. I know I watched that Kansas State quarterback, and he's a great player. I'm trying to think, the guy from West Virginia. I just haven't been following enough. But if you're asking me, because I have a little bit of experience at that award and seeing guys getting ready, Braxton has to play much better. However, I believe he's a candidate.
Rob, far right here.
Rob Aller, Dispatch. Urban, off topic here. You were at Notre Dame. There's probably no place that's more polarizing in terms of love-hate nationally. Were you aware of that when you were over there? And how important is it how important to college football is it that they're back and look good again?
Good. This may not be appropriate time to talk about it, but I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, always have been. I'm Irish Catholic. I just love that they're doing well. I think it's great for college football. and they're really good. I mean, I've seen them on tape a little bit, so I'm not surprised. Oh, the love-hate is, you're the Yankees, they can't stand you, and I mean, but they also love you. You come walking into high school with the shirt on, you either get something thrown at you or a big hug. It's not, hey, the principal's office is over there. It's, one of these, or hey, it's one of those. It's not, hey, by the way, it's over there.
Far left, Lori.
Lori Schmidt, 97.1 The Fan. Do coaches use game tape occasionally to shape their players' opinion of a team? I mean, would you ever cherry pick the best plays from a team to convince your guys that the team is really good, or show the more human plays if your guys need built up?
I think so. Not in this case, but I've done that in the past. Yeah, when you're facing a team that maybe they don't think they can beat, we've done that a little bit and try to humanize them a little bit. And in this instant, we don't, because we're just, everybody knows who we are. We better fight our tails off or you'll lose a game. So to answer your question, we have, and we're not in that situation right now.
It's going to be a rough week weather-wise. Is that going to influence your preparations at all?
No, I just looked today, and I'm getting this. All I care about is Saturday. So if we need to go practice in the slop, we'll go do it. Right now, I understand Saturday is going to be all right, so we get to use this beautiful indoor.
A couple more questions. Far left, Dan.
Dano from Lantern. Just wanted to ask, with the punt block, having that happen again and giving up a touchdown on that, is that something that still really continues to concern you going forward to the last 3 games of the season?
It sure does. And we're going to simplify, and teams are, the blood's in the water and a bunch of sharks trying to go after punts. So we got to do it was a missed assignment. We had 2 guys block the same guy, and that obviously can't happen. So we got to really do a better job of coaching it and getting it ready to go.
Front middle.
It does concern me, though, to answer your question.
Okay. Brandon.
Actually, just to follow up, Brandon Castell from the other, just to follow up on that, you guys went to a different style punt this week. Did you see something that maybe that could prevent something like that from happening, or what was kind of thinking behind that?
Just to change up, I think if you sit there like a sitting duck nowadays, that we don't have the greatest hang time, and our Ben's are struggling a little bit with hang time, and so you want to free release people, and anytime you free release, you're opening up the floodgates for some protection issues, and so that's where we got to really spending a lot of time on that right now. Like last night and today, a lot of time on just getting this thing cleaned up on who's going to be on it, making sure they're healthy enough to do it, and then making sure our rules are intact. So, right now that's not obviously our just flat punting the ball is not very good, and he's actually pretty good at doing that little quarter roll like we did. But you got to make sure you're sound in protection. So we're in a little dilemma right now.
Did you see anything in Smith as you guys had him out there as the gunner?
Fastest player of the team. Yeah, he's, we want to, ideally, we've had years where I think we had 1 year we had 13 total return yards. Because our belief is you have 6.5 seconds. If you're hitting the ball 4.5 second hang time and 2 seconds get off, that's 6.5 seconds to cover 40 yards. Put really fast people out there and force fair catches. That's what we're supposed to. We're not doing that right now. But that's, at the end of the day, what's the best punt is fair catch. 13 total, some ridiculous small return yards and getting the ball off. We're not there because we don't have the hang time or the distance, and I'm just worried about the returners. So we're jury-rigging a system right now that's not, I wouldn't say it's working very well.
Last question, Austin.
Urban, do you think that Savino could be back this week, or does he need the bye week still to?
I'll give you more. I don't want to give you something. I just saw him in there. He's obviously, there's no player trying harder. I would say it's questionable for this week, and we'll let you know as he gets going.
Anybody else, by the way? Devin had to come off a little bit.
Yeah, Stinger's fine.
Sorry.
Our doctor's trainer says the healthiest we've been. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.